Hello and welcome to Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem. Triple digits. Kind of a Patreon special. Because we got our 3 Patreons here, plus a bird and a chaotic.
You always have chaotic. Yeah, I'm not a patron. Fuck that shit.
You get it all for free anyways. Plus you make all the content.
Facts.
Exactly. Do not make all of the content.
You make the better stuff.
Anyways, moving on. We're here having an episode.
Words are kicking your ass tonight.
I'm done. I'm finished. I'm canceled. The rest of the show is y'all.
Oh, and our 3 patrons are Ruby, Mage, and monDe.
Why am I last?
You're always last, monDe.
Yeah, good
If you're
point.
not first, you're last.
And today we're going back to school, as this is Dragons 101.
This is how to train your dragons.
That's in a later episode.
Listen, if they had Dragons 101 in school, I would have paid way more attention.
They did have Dragons 101. It was called Health Class.
That's a lie.
I don't know what kind of anatomy you have.
Fuck.
He chose the wrong website, ended up on the Bad Dragon site.
That's why he got flagged by the school.
Yeah.
I got flagged by the Flag Corps at one point. That hurt.
Me and you both did.
Silver, what dragons are we going to talk about?
Okay, so being Dragons 101, we're not talking any really details about any specific dragons, as we're just kind of give an overview. So we kind of each picked the topic, and besides Ruby, who was late to the party, both figuratively and literally. So we shall be discussing some of the more common stuff, or common body shapes of dragons, common dragon types. I will be covering, teaching about Wyrms, monDe,
I will be covering Drakes.
Mage.
Wyverns, bitch.
You said Wyverns?
Wyverns?
Bitch.
We'll do it again. Wyverns, bitch.
Bird.
I'm doing Amphiptere.
And chaotic.
Essentially fantasy dragons.
And I'm here for the comic relief.
Whoa, back the fuck up. Nobody said she was taking my job when she showed up today. First of fucking all, I was not warned that my job was at stake.
You can have it, because right now I still sound like I'm 50 miles away from my microphone, because my little doodad thing's going... Not...
Yeah, her little...
Her little doodad's about to flatline. She did.
I feel dead. But it's fine.
Okay. What order shall we do this in? Shall we start with the classic fantasy dragons first?
I thought we were doing like a subject, and then we'd cover like what each of ours is like in that area. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like we're going to talk body types, we'd all talk body types. Then we would talk like firepower, then we'd all talk firepower. Does that make sense?
Yeah. See, I was just kind of, I didn't really have a plan.
My body type has legs and arms and a tail.
monDe, back the fuck up.
Okay, then we'll go with Chaotic's great suggestion. We shall do categories. So let's start with body types. monDe, you wanted to start?
Oh, okay.
You complained about being last.
It's just like in school, you get picked on.
Popcorn reading.
Big bullies.
So my dragon was a Drake, and it's actually quite difficult to find info on Drakes because I didn't search Drake by mythical creature. I searched it by dragon. And when I did that, I got a few of the One Piece characters that had like the dragon devil fruits. And then I finally got to a point where it talked about Drakes like dragons wise. And my dragon got arms, legs, head and body and tail, but no wings, and it cannot fly. And they are known to be one of the smaller and weaker dragons.
Yeah, the bitch doesn't have wings. He's just a little baby wizard.
I personally think it means it's a dinosaur, but that's my personal thought is the Drakes are just dinosaurs.
Is it still a reptile?
Yes.
And it's a dinosaur. Pretty much.
In Monster Hunter, they call it a brute wyvern, which is my favorite depiction of it.
It tried to tell me Charizard was a Drake, but he had wings, so
Literally.
it bothered me.
Technically, Charizard's a Wyvern.
Is he though? Because he's got.
Splitting hairs.
Does that make Charmander the Drake?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charmander, Charmeleon.
But yeah, that's all I could find on my Drake for its body type.
Who you popcorning it to?
Popcorn, Songbird.
Fucking knew it. So I found 2 different depictions of it. It is typically I'm gonna butcher this freaking name. The Amphiptere is classically depicted as a serpent or dragon with wings. So it has the characteristics of birds and snakes: body of a serpent, wings of a bat or a bird. Or it said that they have a serpentine body similar to a lindworm, with bat-like wings with feathers covering most of the forearm and stuff, and a long tail like a wyvern. So it's kind of like they're kind of like the mutt version of a dragon, kind of through a bit of everything. I'm gonna be that person and popcorn it to the chaotic.
You're a hoe. I have fantasy dragons, so anything you've ever imagined a dragon looks like is exactly what a fantasy dragon looks like. They have large reptilian bodies with arms and legs. They have gigantic wings. They breathe fire. They got the horny heads. They're very, yeah, that's right. That's right, Ruby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything you can imagine a dragon has possibly looked like in pretty much any fantasy novel or situation. That's what mine looks like.
All right. Let's picture Puff the Magic Dragon.
Well, I'm going to obviously popcorn it to Silver.
Okay.
Coming for the throat.
So we're going from the most limbs to no limbs, as a worm is generally in retrospect, a giant snake.
Snake boy.
It has no legs, no wings. Sometimes they do and can have arms, like front arms. And they can also have sometimes different faces, but they're usually still reptiles. As in, like, same as birds, the lindworm is also a version of a worm, but there's also the tassel worm and the lambton worm and some knuckers.
How do you spell that?
Worm?
No, not that one.
Knuckers.
Knucker.
Knuckles?
That's what I was thinking.
Do you not know how? I'm not. You guys, I know you can't spell, so.
Damn.
Everyone is coming for throats today.
Roast!
I mean, he right.
It's fine.
We didn't even need to talk about dragons. There was plenty of fucking fire here today.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the physical description of lindworm. I imagine even the Groot slang, if it was in a dragon category, would kind of be categorized as a worm.
Isn't like the Ouroboros, like the world serpent and things like that? Isn't that a worm as well?
Yeah, a lot of the Norse and Germanic dragons were kind of worms shaped. All right, lastly, going up in a couple limbs.
Just a couple, not a lot.
Yeah.
2 limbs, 2 wings. So wyverns are typically smaller and more animalistic, I guess, types of dragons. They are dragons where you take your traditional dragon, which is 2 forelegs, 2 back legs, and you basically take off the 2 front legs. So it's 2 back legs and then their wings. And most new ones, there's actually a new pseudo category that has come about, which is it's a modern depiction of them where the wings have like claws on the end or like on the front part of it. So they use those as like pseudo
Rippers.
hands. So they have hands to do things with, but it's not as much movement as you would have with regular ones. They're called, it's a pseudo wyvern. It's mostly from like Monster Hunter and things like that. So they have the ability to actually do things with their front claws and stuff. But they're seen very traditionally as symbols of power, symbols of like the underdog overcoming adversity. Their name comes from the butcher the shit out of this. It is Anglo-French, meaning light spear or javelin, because their body is streamlined. So typically they have a longer tail, and if you were to lay them out, it looks like a streamline with the wings. That's wyverns.
So kind of like a bat, where they have the little grippers.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, yeah, very much a bat.
Alrighty then. Anything to add, Ruby? Since you're the
So I only know about the wyverns and a couple of the fairy tale dragons and with drakes too, just because of the books I read. But it's different for the wyverns in at least the description ports that I know about. They don't have like the grippers. They have more of the think of a salamander with wings. Like they also have the two front legs, but there's still the same description with them being streamlined.
But doesn't that become, it technically becomes a different dragon then, right?
So, and with the book, it says that the dragons and the wyverns, the dragons are just more built and muscular. They don't really have scales. They're just literally just one big, not, I wouldn't say slimy, but or scaly, but they're very sleek almost.
it's a flesh tube.
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
Sorry, Bird.
Sorry.
A flesh tube.
I don't like that.
Anyways, what should be our next category?
Do you want to do firepower?
Like abilities and such?
Yeah, maybe that, or like strength.
I think those can kind of all combine into each other.
Yeah.
I can go first. For mine, I really didn't find a lot about their kind of like firepower or anything. The little bit I did find is that they're probably about like 15 feet in length. You know, they breathe fire, classic typical stuff. One thing I did find was from Godzilla versus Kong, which is one of the types of pop culture amphitheaters, which are the war bats. They're literally like bats mixed with the dragon, and they have constricting ability, which they kill, and they also have a roar, which it's classified as a raspy roar, and they make high-pitched screeches, kind of like the ring race in Lord of the Rings. So they kind of have those two things going for them for those kind of things.
You got to popcorn that motherfucker, or else we're all going to sit here awkward as shit.
Again,
You
Damn.
gotta popcorn that motherfucker.
I thought it would go
I
like
can
the
just
order
picture
before.
like the popcorn like on the trampoline, and she's just like, boing.
We're all just staring at her, waiting for her to make the move.
It's you, chaotic.
Well, fuck you.
You want me to
Fuck
popcorn.
you.
So for my fantasy dragons, I chose to kind of hone in on the fourth wing dragons. Their powers are pretty unique. They're fantasy dragons, so they're large. They breathe fire the way you think they would. It's all pretty standard from there. They're huge. They range anywhere from like gigantic to just little babies. One of their cool powers is that they imprint on humans. So they have riders, and their riders in them kind of like soul tie into each other. So they kind of have to survive off of each other. Like if a dragon loses its rider, it loses a piece of itself. So that's pretty cool. But for the most part, it's pretty standard. I mean, they breathe hella fire, and that fire is hot as shit. Melt your bones off like pretty easily. There's even a part where like dragons versus dragons, that fire can melt those scales and like really hurt the dragons. So you know, you're dealing with over magma level heat, I'd assume. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you got the typical, like, you know, their jaws, they can like break other dragons' necks like through the scales and stuff. Claws, both front and back, can tear them apart. If you look at Game of Thrones, kind of the same way. We just got done with House of Dragon, like dragon on dragon fighting. You can tell that, you know, they're ripping each other's throats out. They're really able to, their strength is immaculate. So that's really the most that fantasy does, which I'm assuming is going to be kind of consistent amongst the others. But it's just cool that fantasy dragons, like their wingspans and stuff, can like tell you how strong they're going to be. And like, it's just neat. It's just a neat like concept about the different, in the books especially, the different like powers they can have depending on their rider as well. And on that note, I'm going to popcorn it to Super Mage.
So wyverns, basically everything she just said. Not the rider part. I didn't see a lot about that. So because wyverns are typically smaller, they're more aggressive typically. So they're more animalistic in nature. They also they're depicted a lot of the times as being poison, like very poisonous in nature. So part of their namesake comes from if you look at the old North French form of their name, it's, I'm going to push this, Gaivere, which is poisonous snake. And also the Latin name for it is Vipera, which is viper. So a lot of times they're seen as having like poisonous tails with stingers, the ability to breathe fire as well as some breathe poison. And again, that can poison other dragons as well, kind of like Chaotic was saying. I think the best example of that is like if you've played a Monster Hunter game, like the Rathian is a wyvern, and they're the most poisonous things in the game, I think. So that's like their main attack. Yeah. So we'll throw that to monDe.
So drakes aren't very powerful. They pretty much have their tails and claws, and they bite. Some things I've read says they can like breathe fire. I've only found like one thing that said that, and then another thing says they have no magical abilities. They're just overgrown reptiles. But yeah, the drake is a very simple dragon.
The magical abilities, it's just big.
Yeah.
I know some of the drakes that I've read about, like, they have the non-magical abilities, but with that, on that end, they have super heightened senses, like sight, smelling, hearing, stuff like that. And then some other magical abilities that I've seen that drakes have is, instead of fire, they actually shoot out a gas. So it's just like the
Indigestion.
propane without the fire to ignite it.
Propane and propane accessories.
Mm-hmm.
I've also learned that if you try to like search drakes and mythological drakes, you'll get something that says normal mutant who can only manipulate ice and snow. Nowadays, he is an omega level mutant who has hydrokinesis, thermokinesis, and mind transfer.
So you're just coming up with people named Drake.
Yes.
That's an X-Men character.
Because apparently drake is a very derogatory term for dragons. So don't use drakes. That's derogatory.
It's okay, Chaotix remind me of dragon from Dragon from Shrek. That's all I pictured.
That is indeed a fantasy dragon.
Just 100% just
Who's left on the popcorn scale? Is it Silver?
Yeah.
Should have been paying attention.
I had to go deal
This
with a cleanup
motherfucker
on
is
aisle 5.
spicy tonight.
Right?
This motherfucker
Who
don't
hurt
miss.
him?
Okay. The Wyrms, the most common abilities within that species of dragon is usually burrowing, where they can dig underground. Some of them can live underwater for a long period of time before coming up for air. And then some of them are venomous, where if they bite you, it's over.
So real quick. Venomous is if they bite you, you're dead. But if you bite them, you're still alive, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's poison, it's only poisonous if you bite it and you die. It's venomous if it bites you and you die. I'm not sure what the poison gas, if it'd be poison gas because it excretes it, and you gotta breathe it in.
Streets it?
Secretes?
sweats it out.
I don't.
What was the gas though?
God damn.
No, it just screams it.
Super
I
Mage is
agree
on
with
my
Silver.
level. That we got dang screets it.
Screet, screet.
It secretes it.
All I can think is it's mucus from Princess of Frog.
It screams it.
Just screams gas at everybody.
Please.
Straight like anal glands on a dog, it secretes it. Just
Oh my god.
So if it sprays out the poison gas, I won't try to use fancy terms. If it sprays out the poison gas, it should be poisonous. The gas is poisonous, but it's venomous.
I think that's right.
my brain can't keep up. Okay.
Alrighty, that was the last one there. Let's just jump into media.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Yay!
Uh-huh.
Fucking took my thing.
On to media. We'll say some of our favorite dragons. I guess we don't have to stay in our categories if we just want to do some of our favorite dragons in media. Because dragons are everywhere in media. From books to movies to...
Any of y'all steal my media, I'm biting you.
Okay. Where are you biting me?
Well, Chaotic, I'll popcorn it to you first, and no one can steal it if you're first.
Listen, that's true. Well, I mentioned Fourth Wing. Their dragons were really unique. I really like the whole idea of like rider and dragon, making them unique in their powers. See, now you asked and now I'm confused. The Forbidden HP series. I really did like the dragons, like the fights that they did when Charlie brought them to the school. I thought that was very unique. Obviously the Lord of the Ring dragons. Those are very cool. We love Smog. Hate Smog, but love Smog. I think that's. I'll leave the rest because I could just keep going. Right, currently, Tarn is my favorite dragon. He's the main dragon in Fourth Wing, in case anybody doesn't know, and he's a humongous. I mean, humongous black dragon. And he talks like an old man and makes terrible dad jokes. So,
He's inspired by what was it? A bulldog?
yeah, her bulldog. she said that's what she imagines her bulldog would sound like.
Yeah.
So that's my current favorite dragon.
Anyways, who are you popcorning it to?
Okay, cool. Good talk.
Kaotic?
I'm sorry, it got real loud in here
Chaotic?
again. I heard you. I'm trying my best. Okay.
Did Chaotic just break?
I'm popcorning it to silver.
It was the sound.
Sound like you just had a stroke. We just
Rex.
All right. Some of my favorite dragons in media. I like Tarn as well. I have read the first Fourth Wing book, but there's also Veldor Tempest from that time I got reincarnated as a slime. The dragons from D&D are also pretty cool, as I like to use those as different characters as they can shape change into people. And Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon, some from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes.
Some even I seen consider War Greymon from the Digimon series a dragon.
dinosaur
He's more of a
Drake.
Are you talking
dinosaur.
about just dragons in general, or are you talking about your dragons that you have?
Just general dragons.
Okay. I was like, none of those are what you have.
Yeah. The only worms I really know of in media, they're just like nameless dragons.
Well, there's the World Serpent and God of War.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I have another one, and it might not be for what you have. And Chaotic got to talk to me about this. Would you consider the Midgardian worm a worm dragon?
No. I've told you what the Midgardian worm is.
Listen,
I've told you what it is. The description is literally the Alaskan bullworm. It's literally the Alaskan bullworm.
The worm in Norse means all dragons, so it incorporates all dragons.
This is not a dragon. This is a naked ass worm.
But you can find worms in mythology, like see the lindworm, the tasselworm, Fafnir. He was technically a worm.
What was the name?
Fafnir?
All I heard was Bappinator. And I was like, I don't think that's it.
Bappinator.
Bappinator.
I am the Bappinator.
Bap, bap. Okay, Mage.
So wyverns are present in a lot of media. They're also present in a lot of history. So they're used in a lot of crests and a lot of European countries and things. They're depicted, like I said, as symbols of houses and symbols of power and things in those areas. But in media, they're depicted typically, like I said, as those smaller dragons, a little more animalistic. So How to Train Your Dragon has a wyvern in it. Again, depicted as smaller with a little more aggressive tendencies. Monster Hunter has a bunch of them. Monster Hunter also has a lot of the flying versus non-flying versions of wyverns as well, which I think is really cool. There was one more. Arc, I think, does a really good job too of showing the transition between dinosaurs and wyverns as well, because you can get basically something that crosses the whole spectrum in there. So you can get wyverns in that game. And we will kick it to Bird.
My dragon also has some coat of arms. One of them is the House of Poitiers. So that's one of their historical ones. But the fictional works are that of kind of a myth of the Quetzalcoatl. That's very similar to what the Amphiptere looks like and is depicted as in, pop culture myth. Another one is also in Digimon, which is Air Draymon, is modeled after one of them. And then finally, like I said earlier, in Godzilla vs. Kong, they are depicted like warbats. And that's all I could kind of find out about them.
Bird, you were supposed to list your favorite fucking dragons.
Yeah, well, that's what I had. So I was just,
those aren't favorite dragons.
I liked fourth wing dragons. I guess
I
Game
specifically
of Thrones.
left you multiple dragons.
Game of Thrones.
Yep. What's your favorite one from Game of Thrones?
Drogon. He's my boy.
Thank you. Wow. What's Drogon look like? Tell me about Drogon.
He's a black dragon. He's kind of the mama's favorite.
God damn.
Badass. Destroys the whole city. He's cool.
He cool.
He cool. He killed Cersei, so, he has that going for him.
Yeah.
Not Cersei's.
Did you just say not Cersei?
I'm sure that's a really cool series.
monDe's never seen it before.
Well, we need to catch you the fuck up because that is not it. Mom, can you look? Yes, Cersei. Kill Cersei. Murder.
Tell Cersei it was me.
Yeah, it'll just get added to my list.
He's got to finish One Piece first.
You have 4 other things that you have to watch before you can watch that.
I have to finish One Piece.
That's a million episodes long.
We won't see you till you're 80. We'll catch
He's
you
to
up.
finish One Piece, and then he has to start Dragon Ball Z Abridged and finish that.
Fuck that.
Okay, so we're never catching him up. He's going to be deceased before he's finished with his series.
It's worse than Silver in the freaking movies.
I don't know about that. That's a bold statement.
He has barely seen any of the movies that you have seen. I mean, I haven't
he's
seen
barely
any just
seen
'cause I'm
any
a chicken
movies.
shit.
He's barely seen any movies that we've seen, but then he's also seen things like fucking Lamageddon. So it doesn't, there's some weird equivalence, okay?
My favorite dragon is the Shrek dragon.
She's actually a really bad mother and a really bad example.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I mean, my bachelorette party is Shrek themed, so even though she's like a bad mom and the whole 9 yards, I just like her because she's like a good comic relief. I also really like the Game of Thrones dragons. Drogon is my favorite. I will say that and agree with Bird. I love the dragons in my book of Under the Oak Tree just because their scales, so like they'll harvest the dragons after like they're slayed, but their scales and like bones and stuff are used as magic relics. So the war and the different castles and different word for military.
Veteran?
Starts with an M. No.
Militia?
That's it. Like, even the different militia can use whatever power that the scales and the bones can use out of the dragons and wyverns that were harvested. And what else dragons is there? Toothless is a given. Everyone loves How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, that's about it. My brain kind of zapped out.
I guess the last one to popcorn it too would be monDe, who's been sitting in the corner.
Don't mind me. I'm just thinking.
So I got some nostalgic dragons that I like since Silver took my Yu-Gi-Oh! Dragons away from me.
To be fair, there's like 10 million Yu-Gi-Oh! Dragons.
Literally. You just named the 2 most popular ones.
Yeah.
So my favorite, I like all dragons equally. That includes the dragons from Dragon Tales, which fall under the mythological. The dragon from American Dragon.
At this part, Ruby starts singing Dragon Tales theme song, word for word, not missing a beat. I gotta cut that from Ruby.
Sorry.
That's gonna be a
copyright.
copyright nightmare.
They're worse than Nintendo.
God damn it, Nintendo.
Oh god, someone forgot how to breathe. All I hear is the inhale and no exhales.
Silver has this uncanny ability to, like, once a day, say a joke that makes everyone stop breathing.
It was the way he didn't miss a beat. He was like, they're worse than Nintendo. There was no thought to it. It was just an automatic, I absolutely know what I'm going for here moment.
There was no thought that came out of my mouth when I was singing that too, so I'm sorry.
I think I have a dragon that fits Silver's category.
Yeah.
the ass blasters
What?
from Tremors.
I guess Tremors is a worm, technically.
Yeah, their first form is a worm. I don't know about the ass blaster form because it's only got 2 legs and like no eyes. So I don't know whose category that would fall under.
I don't know what the fuck you were talking about when any of those words came out of your mouth.
Have you never seen Tremors?
No.
Really?
I've seen 3. I found out there's 6, so I need to go back and find more. It's kind of like Sharknado, but with ground. Tremors is a good movie.
It's Kevin Bacon in it.
Huh.
And Reba McIntyre.
What the fuck did you just say?
Reba Rickenbacker?
It has redheaded Reba.
Reba McIntyre's in this show.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna get copyrighted again.
You can't get copyrighted for names.
You have you met Reba McIntyre? She can copyright for whatever she wants.
Have you met
But
Nintendo?
she won't because she's a
Have
queen.
you met
Stop talking about them.
They're gonna show up.
I hope they fucking do.
It's like Beetlejuice. You gotta say their name 3 times, and then boop, there they are.
Nintendo,
be 3
get the
times.
fuck over here, Nintendo.
Although I do want the more Animal Crossing.
It's got to be 3 times without interruptions. Spoken unbroken. I've seen it enough times on the TikTok to know.
On the TikTok.
Okay,
We're
Grams.
100 here,
Relax.
folks. We're 100 here, folks. On that TikTok.
On the ticker talker over there.
That dang TikTok.
On that there spider web.
It's a tic-tac. Well, now they're going to sue us.
There's 7 Tremor movies?
There's 7?
Jesus Christ. Where did they put them all?
That's 4 more now I gotta catch up on.
That's 7 movies I'm not gonna fucking watch.
Was that a scary movie?
You survived Texas Chainsaw. You can watch Tremors.
Yeah.
It's more like Twister, but with earthworms.
Oh, with her.
Twister, but with earthworms.
What the fuck?
Those words have never been said in that sentence together.
Okay, we shall go on to Mayhem then. Okay, monDe, since you ended media last, you can start Mayhem.
Alright, so Mayhem for my giant lizard is not very mayhemy. If there was a lot of them, I still don't think he'd be very mayhemy. Mayhemy?
I mean, it's a dinosaur, though.
It's a dinosaur, but
Like, if it swings
we
its
have
big
enough-
ass tail, it's gonna knock down a building.
now I have had Silver did point this out to me that the Tarrasque is equivalent to my dragon.
It's pretty destructive.
So if they're all Tarrasque, then we're set.
Hmm.
So it's like world destruction dragon. But if they're like Komodo dragon, dragony, not very. Them suckers go extinct. Little chippy choppy here on their tails and like little bullets, they going bye-bye. So I don't rate them very high on mayhem unless they're like in a like platoon or like a pack or a school, whatever they'd be called.
This is a platoon of drakes.
Sounds about right.
Yes, like a militia.
I like that.
So that's where I stand with my mayheminess. We're gonna popcorn it to meeny miny yo chaotic.
Yo. I've officially got my voice back, so we're fine. Mayhem,
Cursed.
pretty high, depending on like what side they're on, you know? Like Tarn in Fourth Wing, he's not gonna bring mayhem unless you hurt him or his rider. He's really got no intentions of being malicious. However, like Smog, like you're just getting fucked up. Just stay the fuck away. So it just depends. Honestly, they could destroy whole cities. I mean, Game of Thrones is a good example. They basically destroyed a whole city with one dragon, let alone multitudes of dragons. So pretty high on the mayhem scale. I don't know if I'd put them at Tarrasque level continent but they're definitely close, if not at that bar. And I'm gonna popcorn it to Bird. Go fuck yourself.
When and where, buddy? It really doesn't say what my dragons do destruction wise. I'm guessing it depends on maybe what version of them you're looking at, because the warbats are more feral, basically. So I'm guessing they could do some damage. Other myths I looked at, they're more peaceful, secluded. Maybe just would fuck you up if you get near their habitat. One thing I did look at when looking at my dragon was, unlike most dragons, they actually band together. So they have like a nest of other dragons. So I guess there is a big enough danger itself, because like Kaotic said, you wouldn't have just one dragon on its own. You would have the whole herd of dragons breathing fire on you, tearing apart with its claws, teeth. But yeah, I don't know. There's like serpenty little bird things. I think they just mind their business for the most part. I'm gonna popcorn it to Mage.
Wyverns, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Bird. They could definitely wipe out like whole towns. They could wipe out life on continents and things. I don't think they could obviously break continents or like blow up mountains and stuff, but they could wipe out all life on a continent for sure. I think the other part too is they're depicted as more aggressive than regular dragons. So that piece becomes really important because they'll just fucking kill anything. It doesn't matter what it is; they'll just destroy it. So that's Silver.
Worms are sneaky, and they're also solitary. So they'd be ambushing everybody, I'd imagine. Plus, they like to hide underground and in caves and mountains. So I think they could probably pick off one or two and survive for a long time. Maybe they're the rogue of the dragon family. Not world ending, but at least enough to terrorize this tri-state area. Okay, and to the last person, or two people, who's all left?
Should have been paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
I was looking up what a group of dragons is called.
Oh, hell no.
It's called a pod.
No, on D&D Reddit, one of the top answers is a group of adults is a flight.
I've heard it being called a flight of dragons.
Yeah, or it could be a thunder.
I've heard it being called a thunder. Yeah, that's what they call it in Under the Oak Tree.
Yeah.
A group of eggs is called an execute.
Okay, I gotta go.
You know what?
I'm no longer a part of this podcast. I gotta leave. I gotta exit.
Oh.
Eggs. It.
Eggs.
Okay, I'm leaving.
All right.
Hit
I'll
the
see
end
you
button.
guys later. It was nice knowing everybody. Goodbye.
This is too exciting.
Ruby, go ahead.
So, just in dragons in general, I mean, listen, Shrek Dragon did cause some tomfuckery because it ate Lord Farquaad.
Farquaad? Or Farquaad?
Farquaad?
Lord Farquaad?
Something.
Farquaad.
It's
That's like the new hot Tua. Farquaad.
It's like,
It's 100% you just took the D off the end of his name.
I made it fancy for what? For what, Ruby? You made it fancy. Haktua, Farquaad. I'm going to walk around. People aren't going to understand, but instead of Haktua now, I'm going to run around and go, Farquaad.
Got him with that Farquaad.
You got so French with that.
It's French for Haktua.
It's French for mispronounced.
All right. Outro.
Well, thanks everybody for listening, and thank you, monDe, Mage, and Ruby, and also Bird for joining us for Dragons. Kaotic, do you have any updates, news?
We haven't decided on our new book, or else I'd have some new book info for the new podcast. But other than that, no, there's no news. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have much else to say. There's not a whole lot going on right now.
Any news about In Case of Monsters Break Glass?
Yeah, I was supposed to write that Thursday, so I'll probably get to it this Thursday because my schedule's pretty open this week. My week's not as crazy. However, that being said, I'm also I'm in the throes of, I think, having the completed touches on the website. I just need to get all of the links hooked up to everything so that way everybody can click and make it ease of access. So I'm not saying it'll be done this week, but the website should be live within the next couple. So just a heads up there. But yeah, In Case of Monsters Break Glass, should be coming out this week as well with the episode.
Okay. Mage, you had a question?
Are you going to plug Archetype Apocalypse?
Yes.
Do the plug.
monDe and Mage, who you guys are here listening to now, are also co-hosts along with me for the Archetype Apocalypse podcast weekly release. We have coolest character designs, or best character designs, outfits, clothes out now. By the time you guys hear this, we should probably have, or it will be out, but the second episode, Uno Reverse, should be out, which is characters that change roles from good to bad, or bad to good, or multiple times. Maybe somebody picks Team Rocket and it's a terrible choice, but you'll have to listen to figure it out.
Maybe.
With that, Chaotic with the outro.
Beep, beep, beep. Thank you for listening to the Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem podcast. Silver and Chaotic take you into the depth of the lore and discuss how these legends could affect modern-day society. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or almost any podcast service easiest to you. Dive into the depths of chaos with us every Wednesday, bar Silver and Chaotic not missing their scheduling, and consider joining the podcast Discord or Twitter, following even more insider looks and even some D&D sessions. If you'd like some extra special inside looks or even want to be a guest on the show, consider helping us via Patreon. Your help makes such a big difference to us both. Until next time, Mythics, you never know what kind of mayhem we might get into.